Have you ever stumbled into the world of object shows? It's this super creative corner of the internet where everyday items become contestants in these wild animated competitions. Today, we're diving into one called Level Up, and let me tell you, its story is a ride. To say its history was chaotic, well, that would be a massive understatement. This is a story about constant do-overs, creative drama, and a vision that was always just out of reach.
And really, this question is the whole ballgame. The entire saga of Level Up orbits this one single conflict. It's a pretty fascinating and cautionary tale about what happens when that drive to make something absolutely perfect becomes the very thing that stops it from ever getting made at all.
Okay, so to really wrap our heads around Level Up, we have to go back. Because before it was Level Up, it was something else. And you guessed it, before that, it was something else too. This wasn't just a simple rebranding. It was a pattern, and it tells us a lot.
I mean, just look at how fast this all happens. We're talking about a span of just 2 years, where the show completely hits the reset button 3 times. It starts as Object Players, becomes Object Nitro, and then finally lands on Level Up. Each time, poof, the story, the cast, the challenges, all tossed out to start all over again. This constant instability is basically the defining feature of the whole production.
So why? Why all the reboots? Well, to get that answer, we've got to pull back the curtain and look at the show's creator, Zealmations, and their really intense, hands-on approach to making the show. This is where that quest for perfection really kicks into high gear.
And this quote right here from someone who was on the inside, it just says everything. This wasn't just another project for the creator, it was their baby. And you know, that deep personal investment fueled this incredible desire for it to be absolutely flawless, which, as we're about to see, came with some pretty serious baggage.
And here's that baggage. A former writer laid out exactly what was happening. We're talking about nearly finished scripts just being thrown in the trash. The cast of characters was constantly changing. This endless cycle of starting over just completely burned out the crew. And maybe the wildest part is the claim that if one of Zeal's favorite characters got voted out, the whole show might get rebooted just to undo it.
But here's the thing. In all of that chaos and change, a few things actually stayed the same. Specifically 3 characters. 3 constants who managed to survive every single reboot and show up in every single version. Yep, Dolly, Gummy Bear, and Pridey. These 3 were apparently non-negotiable. According to that same writer, they were always meant to be part of the creator's endgame vision for the show's finale. In a world where everything else was disposable, they were the untouchable ones, which, of course, put them right at the center of a lot of the show's controversies.
So let's zoom in on one of them, Pridely. Because here you can see this massive disconnect. On one hand, Exclamation said the goal was simple, just make a creative character. But on the other hand, critics had a much harsher take, seeing the character as a harmful stereotype. That huge gap between what the creator intended and how the character was received became a huge problem.
And you can totally hear that personality in this line from the episode Double Danger Deluxe. This is Pridey talking to the team's self-proclaimed leader, Plate. It just perfectly captures that sassy, strategic, and super confident attitude that both defined the character and fueled all the arguments about them.
All right, speaking of that episode, let's do a deep dive. Double Danger Deluxe was the 3rd episode of the final version of the show, Level Up, and it's a perfect little microcosm of the show's on-screen strategy and how it kind of mirrored all the drama happening off-screen. Basically, the entire episode is built around the strategies of 2 big groups. On one team, you've got a new power alliance trying to take control. And on the other team, well, they're just completely falling apart and turning on each other. It's that classic reality TV setup. So over on the red team, we've got the 3 aces. But even inside this brand new alliance, there's already paranoia. Card, the gambler character, overhears his ally Fiddle making some kind of side deal, and his reaction is immediate. He's ready for a fight, saying he'll have to remind her who the true ace really is. Meanwhile, the blue team is an absolute mess. The leader, Plate, is dead set on getting rid of Dolly and Pridey, who he thinks are totally useless. But after they manage to vote Dolly out, Plate's aggressive style pushes Gummy Bear away. So she flips, teams up with Pridey, and they decide on a new target, Plate himself.
This line from Plate really tells you everything you need to know about his game. It's pure cutthroat strategy. He sees any kind of emotion or friendship as a weakness, getting in the way of winning. But of course, that exact ruthless attitude is what makes him a huge target and leads to his own downfall. And you can see it all go down right here in the vote count. Look at this. Plate and his ally Bagpipes vote for Pridey, thinking they've got the numbers. But then, bam! Gummy Bear flips, Mug follows her lead, and Pridey votes for his rival. In a shocking 3-2 vote, the king of the team gets sent home. A classic blindside. And the episode's not done yet. The next challenge is this grueling test where everyone is literally tied up in a huge knot of ropes. It's just this frantic scramble to untangle themselves, which just goes to show how intense this competition was supposed to be.
Oh, and just to give you a sense of the sheer chaos of this show, get this. In that same episode, a contestant named Gunny just sets her team's cabin on fire, like commits actual arson. The host even mentions later that the damages cost $10,000. It's just another piece of this wild, unpredictable puzzle.
Okay, let's zoom back out. We've looked at the creator's process, we've seen the drama play out on screen. So, what's the final word from the people who actually made the show and the people who reviewed it?
You know, this might be the most revealing quote of the entire saga. A former writer says flat out that they tried to fix the exact problems people were criticizing. They tried to make Pridey less of a stereotype. But the crucial last part is, but Zale didn't. The creator's vision was the vision, and there was no changing it.
So when you boil it all down, what are you left with? Well, this chart says it all. 3 reboots, 3 different versions of the show. And in the end, the final version, Level Up, only managed to get 3 official episodes out. They were starting over just as often as they were finishing anything. It was a perfect cycle of going nowhere.
So how do we make sense of all this? It's a complicated legacy, right? It's a story of huge ambition and a creative vision that just kind of collapsed under its own weight. And by the end, it seems like the creator themselves really understood that.
And there it is, in their own words. In an apology, Exilmation showed this incredible self-awareness. They acknowledged the toxic cycle of rebooting and what it did to their crew, people who poured so much work into something that would just get thrown away.
And that's what we're left with. Level Up is really a cautionary tale. It shows how that intense, passionate hunt for a perfect creative vision, if it goes unchecked, can turn into a cycle of self-sabotage. It leaves behind a legacy not of a finished show, but of what could have been.